Well, good morning, everyone. I'm back at the Withlacoochee State Forest. My last video caused me to feel a bit of a desire to come back to the place of tragedy and triumph. And I am in what I call the Cabbage Palm Swamp, where I killed my Withlacoochee buck. I wanted to revisit it. I've got a hunting story for you today. At the end of this tram, I'm going to show you where I killed my deer. I'm going to tell you how to get here. I'm going to tell you how to hunt it. Right here is an old rub. And right here's another one. And I'm not scouting, but if I were scouting, I would say to you that if you find old sign, it might as well be new sign, because I'll take this as a sign that big bucks like the area. This is a very impressive rub on this tree, and there was a big buck living down in here. Now this is the swamp portion. This is the flooded portion, even though it's not flooded now, and I'm really quite surprised that it's not. But this is the flooded portion of the Withlacoochee. The Withlacoochee River is straight that way. In fact, you can hear an airboat on there now. And it's quite green, and in the wintertime, all this foliage will fall off and it'll be brown. And up this way is what I call the Cabbage Palm Swamp, and we're going to make our way. Now this is an old railroad bed that accesses this portion of the swamp. Now you cannot see this railroad bed from the tram. They're calling the main railroad bed the tram that runs up and down the river. Okay? And where they did the logging and for the cypress trees. But there are many of these trams that finger off into this swamp that you can use to access, but you gotta be able to find them. So anyway, we're gonna head on back, and this is the tram. Pretty easy, right? And if you don't know it's here, no one will show up. It's not on the map. Okay. In case you're wondering, I'm in the Half Moon Wildlife Management Area in the Withlacoochee State Forest. This is the most beautiful, scenic, full of wildlife management area, and all of them are about the same. You know, you're going to find this could be Potts, this could be Jumper Creek, this could be the Green Swamp. A lot of it's the same. It often diverses. And I can walk right down this bad boy, bring my tree stand. Now I'm a long way from the parking area. I rode my bicycle on the main tram to where I know that this bed leads into the swamp, right? It's been probably, I don't know, 10 years since I've been back here. I had a little trouble finding it, but I found it. Look at this, man. You telling me you can't put a tree stand back here? It's awesome. Open woods because it floods and kills the understory. Up here it gets a little bit thicker, and up here the terrain changes, the habitat changes a little bit, and gives you a little bit more diversity. And of course I've learned that that's what I look for. I want a diverse landscape. One where the habitat changes, has a mix of trees. Look at these oak trees. These oak trees will yield acorns. Big ass oak trees, man, they're beautiful. Look at here, got a golden orb spider. I tell you what, when you walk down here in the dark, get in your stand, you get a face full of that. Woo! Alright, so this is where I was when I killed my buck, when I killed my 10-point. I'm thinking it was this tree right here. I can't be for sure. I think I was sitting right on this tree. Right here. Right here, and I shot him down through that cover right there. It was thick like that. But you could see down in there, especially if you were way up in the tree looking down. Now a lot of this habitat, if you get too high in the tree, you'll get lost in the understory. Look at this. probably giving away my location. That's an old track, I suppose, from when they logged it. This piece of logging equipment from a big steam engine, be my guess. Right, and they came down in here. I can imagine what it was like, you know, with steam engines and coal cars and workers and loggers and saws and cutting the timber. But as you can see, this is the Cabbage Palm Swamp. Now, my lesson for you today, if I'm going to give you a lesson, I'm going to give you a hunting lesson for today. And my hunting lesson for today, while I'm visiting this place and going through some of the greatest hunting moments of my lifetime, this place just holds such a passion for me. And don't try and share it with non-hunters. They'll never get it. They'll never understand tragedy and triumph when it comes to the hunting lifestyle. They don't understand it. You can write books. You can tell hunting stories. You can make movies. But unless you're the guy behind the scope, behind the sights, experiencing that, they don't get it. They never will. So anyway, you're a hunter. I'm a hunter. And we like to tell hunting stories. Never, ever, ever want to discount the hunting story. If somebody wants to tell you a hunting story, well, it's in your best interest to listen to that story. Typically what I do, and if I go back to a check station and somebody's killed a deer and I want to know a little bit about the background of the hunt, I'll just go ask, harmless questions. Get you out of the sun here. Harmless questions like, what time did you get in your stand? What time did you see the deer? How far away was you? You'll find that hunters are hungry to share their story. I'm hungry to share my story. I'm to the point in my life now where if I can't share a hunting story, what's the point? And right up here, back that way was triumph. Back this way was tragedy. And my hunting story kind of encapsulates both. And I had come in here and had ridden that tram road and scouted this thing out. I was riding my bike in this management area every weekend for years. Me and my buddy Cliff come in here and we rode and we found these places and discovered places to hunt. Anyway, I had killed my Withlacoochee buck. I had killed my 10-point, and I killed him right down there. And I had received, 2 years later, I received a quota permit for archery. So I decided I'd come and do a bow hunt. So I came on a Friday afternoon, and Cliff was with me, my hunting buddy. And I came down here, because this is my spot, right? And I set up in one of these trees back in here, and there's a couple of rubs down here and a scrape up there. So I set up and I hunted that afternoon and did not see a deer. I hunted the next morning, which was a Saturday morning, and did not see a deer. And I got down and had made plans with Cliff to meet him up by the crossroad. So I was headed back, and I was coming to a spot that's up here. And I was walking, carrying my bow, and I had left my tree stand on the tree. And I was just coming along, and I looked to my left, and I seen a deer standing in a slough. I'll show it to you, it's right up here. Standing in a slough. And I just stopped and looked for a minute. And sure enough, it was a buck. And about that time he seen me standing there, man, he bolted out of there. He charged out of there like a bolt of lightning, seeing me standing there. So I just thought I'd walk down and see where he was, what he was up to, because he was, down in that slough, and I can see him down through there. I watch out for snakes. I got my Chippewa snake boots. You don't want to come out here without your snake boots. I've seen water moccasins in here that'll put you in the hospital so fast. All right, so anyway, I seen a buck, and I walked down, and I found a rub on a tree, very close to where he had been standing. Looked on the ground, and there were acorns. I said, I got one more day. So I hustled on back and I got my tree stand. I brought it back up here, and I set it up in that slough about, I don't know, 40 yards from that rub. And I checked the wind and just pretty much figured the wind would do the same thing the following day. There were no drastic weather changes. It was coming out of the southeast. It always comes out of the southeast in early fall, especially as the day progresses, right? Here it is. That's where he was. He was down in there, in that slough. I could see him right down through there, standing there when he ran off. So, like I said, I went back and I got my tree stand. I lugged it all the way back up here. Got a tick on me. And found a place to put it, and I put it up, and I said, okay, I'm coming back here in the morning. I told Cliff I seen a buck. I saw it run through the cover right there, and there's a rub and acorns. I'm going to hunt him the following day. I'm going to hunt him tomorrow. Okay, yeah, you're good, okay. So anyway, next morning came, and came daylight, and I had got in my stand, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes before complete daylight, and it was real foggy. I can remember the fog just laying over this habitat, you know. And all of a sudden I seen a figure moving through the fog like a ghost. And I had not been in my stand 10 minutes. Now, we can learn from these stories. You can learn from hunting stories. It's not so much about the spot. It's more about what transpires through a hunt that we want to learn. You know, hunting stories go back to the remotest of times. I mean, when you go into a cave, right, and you see a painting on a cave, what do you see? You see a musk, a big, what do you call those elephants? A mammoth, a woolly mammoth. It's painted on the wall. It's got all these spears sticking out of it, and you got these natives with spears chasing it, and they painted it on the wall because hunting story is important. Anyway, I was already standing up. I had already knocked an arrow, and the deer slipped through there. Had no idea I was there, and came into the area where the rub was, and slowly began to feed. And I came to full draw, and of course I got very excited. And look at that. This is the habitat you look for. This is the cabbage palm swamp. See? That's what I call the cabbage palm swamp. Anyway, big cypress trees. He turned broadside at what I thought was about 40 yards. It was probably 30. And I let the arrow go. And you know, there's all kinds of theories about animals and how fast they are, and we've all heard of deer jumping the string, and that what they do is when you release an arrow, that deer drops to the ground, right? And when he drops to the ground, he's trying to avoid any sound that he's hearing. He drops to the ground so he can spring up and escape. And I believe they've learned that with cats, big cats, mountain lions, panthers, whatever you want to call them. They're all the same to me. I love them. I want them to come back. But if you got a mountain lion or a panther stalking a deer, and that panther snaps a twig, that deer is going to drop, shoot up to escape the inevitable. And that's where they get that from, I believe. Well, he heard my bow, and that's exactly what the deer did. And of course my sights were a little bit off. My range was a little bit off. If my range had been right and the sights had been right, if I had used the right pin, I don't know, it was 10 years ago. Long story short, the deer went to the ground to escape. The arrow flew over its back, harmlessly into the ground. I watched that deer jump into the air, spin around, run to the edge of the cover, and just stand there. The thing that surprised me so much about that deer was he wasn't just your normal deer. He had a decent 8-point rack, dark, heavy antlers, but his face was as white as a cumulus cloud. His face was white from the top of the antlers all the way down to the end of his muzzle, and on each side of his jowls, his face was white. And I was heartbroken over the outcome of that hunt until I began to think about it for a while, and I'm still a little heartbroken. I'd love to have killed that deer. I would have loved to be able to take that deer to the check station and show everyone. There would have been pictures of that deer. I don't know if anyone ever killed that deer. I never heard. He was a beautiful buck, and he slipped through my window of opportunity, and that's just the way it goes. But that's my hunting story, and this is the Withlacoochee State Forest. This is the Half Moon Wildlife Management Area. To me, it is the place of tragedy and triumph. And the families that lived here long ago, I'm sure, adventured out into these woods, adventured out into these swamps. I'm sure that Seminole Indians and ancient Americans ventured out into these woods hunting and gaining sustenance, whether hunting or gathering. I'm no different than them. It's just my time. It's not my place, just my turn, right? Alright, so that's where I am. This is what I'm doing. I'm in the Withlacoochee State Forest, in the Cabbage Palm Swamp, digging up some old bones. Hunting stories. Hunting stories I'll take with me all the rest of my days. Alright, love you guys. If you get an opportunity to come out here and hunt in the Half Moon Wildlife Management Area, I would advise you and counsel you to start saving preference points now. Go online, figure out how it's done. It's not that hard. And get you a permit. Get you a quota permit for archery, or muzzleloader, or modern gun. You can apply for 3 hunts. All 3 of those. Now, I think there's 2 modern gun hunts, and I think there's 2 archery hunts as well. So there's lots of opportunity. You might get drawn right away. You never know until you try. All right, love you guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.